okay? All right. I know I'm short, but thank you guys for all coming out here. We know there's been a lot of questions, and of course, we brought out all of our county leaders as well as our city leaders here. My name is Alicia Tarancon. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Nassau County Sheriff's Office. And of course, I want to go ahead and introduce everybody that's right behind you. We have Tim Cooper over here with Nassau County Emergency Management Director. Of course, we have Sheriff Leeper here as well. We have Chief Jim Hurley with Fernandina Beach Police Department, Chief Brady Rigdon with Nassau County Fire Rescue, Ty Silcox, Fernandina Beach Fire Rescue, Taco Pope, our County Manager, and Dale Martin with Fernandina Beach City Manager. And of course, we're going to bring up Tim Cooper. And Tim, you have an update. You're going to give us some information about shelters, as well as where people can go for more information, and some information as well as, you know, bridges and all those updates.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for being here and helping share our information, get it out to our citizens here in Nassau County. Currently, our EOC is at a level 1 activation. What that means to our community is personnel will be on site here at the EOC 24 hours a day until this event is stabilized. As with any emerging situation, we will be prepared to make immediate decisions that could affect the health, welfare, and life safety to our community. Due to the dynamic forecast of Hurricane Ian, at 8 a.m. this morning, the evacuation for Zone A Alpha and Zone D Delta were implemented. This time frame allows for persons living in those zones to evacuate. We still have significant storm surge and rain in the forecast for Nassau County. I want to speak on shelters for just a moment. As of noon today, we opened 2 shelters in Nassau County, a special needs shelter at Hilliard High School, 1 Flashes Avenue, Hilliard, Florida, and a general population and animal shelter at Callahan Middle School at 450121 Old Dixie Highway, and that is in Callahan, Florida. We do have sandbag operations going at this time. We plan to continue those sandbag operations till 7 p.m. tonight. The sheriff gets most of the questions about road and bridge closures, so I'm going to let, he's going to speak to that in just a moment. And I want to get a strong emphasis to our community on storm surge. It has been preached in South Florida. If you look at the maps, we have concern for storm surge. I don't want anyone in our community to get into a lull that this thing is pushing offshore. That is not changing our storm surge forecast. Please heed to our warnings. At this point, I'll go ahead and pass it on to Sheriff Leeper.
Good afternoon. I'm going to talk about some safety issues that our citizens need to be aware of. Of course, everybody asked about the bridge. Bridges going on to Amee Island. Certainly, we could shut them down periodically if winds are sustained 39 miles per hour or above, and we will reopen if those winds subside. So unless we get hurricane force winds of 75 miles per hour or more, which we don't expect, we will shut the bridge down totally, and it'll have to be inspected afterwards. But as long as the winds don't get that bad, we'll be shutting down periodically. Of course, timing is everything. Nothing is exact. The storm's been a little more difficult to predict, so use common sense, be prepared, and just have your resources available should anything happen. We're working together, law enforcement, fire rescue, all staffs with Nassau County, Fernandina Beach, Callahan, and Hilliard are out working together to monitor conditions in order to keep you and your family as safe as possible. It's all hands on deck with our agencies. They will be out all night for several days, making sure that our community is safe. As always, stay in contact with updated information from the Emergency Operations Center, particularly at onenassau.com. And right now, Nassau County beaches will be closed effective 8 a.m. in the morning. Of course, we have deputies and officers monitoring those conditions, and they could close earlier than that. And then they will be reopened when it's safe to do so. We're going to get several inches of rain, so our roads are going to be hazardous. You're going to have water building up on the roadways, so just be careful. If you don't have to drive around, don't drive. Stay in a safe place until we ride this thing out. Conditions should subside after Friday, probably Saturday. So, but we'll just play that as we go. But just be safe and use common sense. So I'll turn it back over to our emergency manager, Tim Cooper.
Okay, does anyone have any questions that we could try to answer for you today?
Yes, sandbag operations, where is that going to be located? Where are you guys doing that?
We have one in Yulee. That information is on our Facebook, but it is at the Yulee, or the yard right off of the Tradeplex here in Yulee, off of State Road 200. And then the other one is in Hilliard.
What would you say are more of the, prone to flooding areas that you guys are pretty sure watching out for?
Well, the emphasis behind our evacuations were those areas, right? Yes, ma'am. So coastal flooding is known in those areas. We have problems with nor'easters in those areas, and we're expecting greater than that with this forecast.
Are you anticipating any other zones will come into play as far as evacuations?
I really don't want to talk outside of the zones that we have because it creates confusion when people hear other things. We have plans for anything like that could happen, but we don't have any plans at this time that we're planning on implementing.
So for those who are in zones A and D, if they're going to evacuate where they are, you feel all right about them going to the other zones if they have friends, family, so forth?
If they feel comfortable with that, we do.
And Sheriff, you've been through quite a few of these storms throughout the years. Is there something that you've seen in terms of your anticipation of what's going to happen here that you refer back to another storm that's happened and where those trouble spots may crop up as a result?
Well, if people were here during Hurricane Matthew, Hurricane Irma, the problems we had then, we're going to have this time, if not more. So be prepared for that. People know if they live in a low-lying area, it's going to flood. So just get out of that area. You don't have to go across country. You just got to get into another zone that's not being evacuated so you're safe. Just get away from those low-lying areas and areas where you're going to have water rushing in.
Can you speak to the time frame that first responders can't come out to get people for those that choose to stay?
Well, for those that choose not to evacuate, heed the warnings that we've been giving. Depending on the conditions, if they have an emergency and they call 911, we're going to make sure that our employees are safe. They may come a point where we're not going to respond. They've been told to evacuate. If they get in a situation where they're getting in trouble, we'll try to help them if we can, but we're not going to put our employees in peril to help somebody who chose to be dumb. So we're going to do our best, but there may come a point where we're not going to respond until conditions lessen where we can do so.
And we're calling this recommended evacuations or mandatory in these zones?
I'll speak to that. It is an evacuation order. That power is given to us, and that's what we're going to reference to it as evacuation order.
Sorry if this has been mentioned already, but have you all brought crews from outside the area in to help with the storm?
There are personnel in our EOC that are from outside the area, yes, sir.
Great, and about where are they coming from?
All over the place.
All over the place, got it. And then how many crews do you have emergency, I guess an estimate?
You would have to factor in power and everything that's not necessarily controlled directly through the EOC. We have liaisons in here. We can only guesstimate on those numbers, and I wouldn't want to mislead anyone.
Do you all anticipate erosion on the beach? I know Amelia Island had a lot of reconstruction with the north, I think the south or north end of its beach. Are you monitoring that? Are you concerned about that?
Yes, and the sheriff has deputies that are going to be on the beach monitoring that, and we do expect that with this type of storm surge. That is well within the forecast.
Any other questions? Well, thank you guys for coming down.
Thank you.
So you've been listening there to the emergency operations manager and the sheriff in Nassau County, and I want to recap what they just told us for our folks in Nassau County. If you live in evacuation zone A or evacuation zone D, D is in dog, now is the time to evacuate. They say that there may become a point during the storm where first responders simply won't be able to come help you if conditions are too treacherous. So if you're in zone A or zone D, evacuate. You are in evacuation order. And I want to go over those two shelters that have opened as of noon today in Nassau County. The special needs shelter is at Hilliard Middle Senior High School, and the general population pet-friendly shelter is at Callahan Middle School. Now, we just heard the sheriff say that sandbag operations are going to continue tonight until 7 o'clock. If you want to go fill some sandbags, you can go in Yulee to the Yulee Road Department Yard or in Hilliard to the Hilliard Road Department Yard. Sheriff Leeper reminding us that if winds reach 39 miles per hour, sustained, then bridges could temporarily be shut down. Nassau County beaches are going to close down at 8 a.m. tomorrow. There's a chance they could close sooner. That's all just going to depend on what we're experiencing weather-wise. Reminding anyone that if you're out on the roads, it really could be hazardous. As these rains come in, they are concerned about significant storm surge and the rain that's going to be falling. So they're asking you to stay off the roads, find a safe place to ride out this storm. And we will keep you updated throughout Hurricane Ian. We have a team of meteorologists tracking this storm. A team of reporters are going to be out all across the First Coast. So make sure you go ahead and download the First Coast News app. Turn on push notifications to get the very latest. Check out our website, firstcoastnews.com. And we will continue to break into programming as conditions warrant and as we get updates from other emergency operations centers all around the First Coast. But we hope you stay safe and you keep it right here on First Coast News. For now, we're going to return you to programming.
This has been a Hurricane Ian update from the First Coast's most accurate forecast, certified by Weather Rate.
In other words, Michaela, I'm not going to mind if we repeat.